To see tomorrow's PC, look at today's Macintosh.
Byte magazine recently said, "It would not be an exaggeration to describe the history of the computing industry for the past decade as a massive effort to keep up with Apple." And with the launch of Windows 95, it appears that effort continues. But while Windows 95 represents a substantial step forward for the PC world, it still falls short of the standards set by the Macintosh. Not only because the Macintosh remains much easier to configure, learn, use, and expand, but also because while Apple's competitors have been working to recreate the Macintosh experience, Apple has introduced innovation after innovation to create the next generation of personal computing, with computers that are even easier to use, faster than ever before, with more advanced multimedia, and even greater compatibility with PCs. We'll explore these points in more detail in the rest of this video.
Macintosh System 752 is by far the easiest, smoothest, most usable operating system out there.
Many PC users expected Windows 95 to make the PC as easy to use as the Macintosh. But the fact is, the Macintosh is still much easier to use and expand than a PC running Windows 95. That's because the Macintosh is a better integrated system than a PC running Windows 95. Apple is the only major personal computer company to craft both the hardware and the operating system software together to operate as a single, seamless whole. That's why you can insert a disk into a Macintosh floppy drive, and an icon for the disk will appear immediately on screen. It's why you can insert a PC disk into a Macintosh, and the Macintosh will recognize that the disk comes from a PC. It's why you can copy fonts, control panels, and sounds to your system folder, and the Macintosh will place each where it needs to go. It's why your Macintosh can actually lead you through tasks step by step. And it's why you can expand a Macintosh so easily, adding CD-ROM drives, scanners, even additional monitors, so you can work across two screens with an integrated workspace. And you can do all this in practically no time at all. This tight integration between hardware and software is something Windows 95 can't match. Because in the PC world, one company makes the operating system and many different companies manufacture and assemble hardware systems, which means it's often up to the user to make sure all the pieces work together. For example, when you insert a floppy disk into a PC running Windows 95, nothing happens until you tell the computer to look for a disk in the drive. And when you insert a different disk, the contents of the first disk remain on screen until you choose the refresh command. And if you make a mistake and try to open a file from a disk that's no longer in the drive, Windows 95 will tell you that the directory name is invalid, and it's up to you to figure out what that means. This lack of hardware-software integration doesn't just make the PC harder to use than a Macintosh. It also makes the PC harder to expand. If you're like most computer users, you never seem to have enough hard disk space. So let's see what it takes to add a second hard disk to each of these new computers. The Macintosh has a built-in SCSI expansion connector, so to add a second hard disk, all we have to do is plug it into the computer, plug in the power cord, and turn on the disk and the Macintosh. PCs usually don't come with a built-in SCSI port, so to add more disk space to their PC, most Windows users would install an internal enhanced IDE hard disk. To do that, we'll have to open the computer, set the jumpers on the new disk to slave setting, attach mounting hardware, find and open IDE port on the motherboard or controller card, and plug in the new hard disk. Plug in a power connector for the new hard disk. Mount the drive in an open bay. Replace the cover and start the computer. Enter CMOS and configure the disk as a slave. Select MS-DOS from the Start Programs menu. run fdisk to partition the drive, restart the computer again. Select MS-DOS from the Start Programs menu, format the hard disk, then exit MS-DOS. And finally, double-click My Computer to see and access our new disk. It isn't just more difficult to install a new hard disk on a PC. It can be harder to use the new disk as well. For example, let's move an application from our original hard disk to the new hard disk to take advantage of its storage space and speed. On the Macintosh, all we have to do is move the application from one disk to another. And the application launches normally. But on the PC, it isn't that easy. When we move an application to the new hard disk, it may fail to open, which in this case means we'll have to reinstall the whole program. You'll run into hardware-software integration problems more often than you might think with a Windows 95 PC. For instance, let's say we just purchased a new computer and we want to build a small network so that all our computers can share the same printer. We'll use Ethernet for high performance. All Power Macintosh computers come with Ethernet networking hardware and software built in, so all we have to do is connect our computers and printer to an Ethernet hub, select EtherTalk in the network control panel, and select the printer in the chooser. That's 3 simple steps. Now, let's see what it takes to connect our new PC. Most PCs don't come with networking cards built in. So, to get the same Ethernet printer sharing capability on the PC, we'll have to install Ethernet cards in each computer. That's 11 steps for each one, and it's just the beginning. Next, we have to configure one computer as the print server. That's another 13 steps. Finally, we have to define the printer that we want the client computers to use. Another 6 steps for each PC. All in all, the PC required 27 more steps than the Macintosh. And that's not counting any IRQ or I/O address conflicts that you may encounter, even if you're using Windows 95 plug-and-play cards. Because even with plug-and-play, PCs still have a limited number of IRQs and I/O addresses. So the more peripherals you add, the more likely it is that you'll have to resolve IRQ and I/O address conflicts. We've seen that the integration of the hardware and software make the Macintosh easier to use and easier to expand. It also makes the Macintosh easier to troubleshoot. If a problem occurs on a Macintosh, the most common solution is to disable an extension or control panel. But with a PC running Windows 95, correcting problems may force you to edit system files like win.ini, system.ini, system.dat, or ms-dos.sys. Which brings up another interesting point. Many people thought that Windows 95 would be the end of DOS as we know it. But the fact is, DOS is still present in Windows 95. To see what this means, let's look at one of the most well-publicized features of Windows 95 is shortcuts. A shortcut acts as a reference to a file or application. It's a simple idea in concept. In practice, though, Windows 95 shortcuts are more complex because they're based on DOS path names. So, if you happen to move the original file, thereby changing its DOS path name, the shortcut may not be able to find it. Now, the Macintosh has shortcuts too, known as aliases. In fact, the Macintosh has had them since 1991. And unlike Windows 95 shortcuts, Macintosh aliases maintain their links to their underlying files, even when you move the original file to a new folder or to a new hard disk. You can even attach an alias to an intercompany email and send it over the network. And the alias will still be able to locate the original file on the network and open it. There's another reason why Macintosh computers are so easy to understand and use. Apple has always focused on the user, and the benefits show up in all kinds of ways. You'll see it in the way we make sophisticated new capabilities, like infrared networking, a natural part of the computing experience. So you can establish a wireless connection with your Macintosh PowerBook as easily as you would make a normal network connection. Or consider the Internet. Apple makes it easy to connect to the Internet and surf the World Wide Web. That's one reason why more people use Macintosh to access the Internet than any other brand of personal computer. And with Apple's new technology, CyberDog, we're making the Internet as easy to use as the Macintosh itself. CyberDog actually allows you to embed Internet links in documents created by any application that supports OpenDoc. Suppose I'm a school teacher preparing a lesson plan on astronomy, and I know there's some good material on the Internet. CyberDog's Notebook is a place to store your favorite Internet locations and email addresses. So, I can simply drag and drop an Internet location from the notebook into my document. CyberDog will connect to that site and display the results in the document. So when my students open it, they'll be taken directly to the site I embedded. No need to waste time surfing the Internet for relevant data. So why is a Macintosh easier to use than a PC with Windows 95? Because the Macintosh hardware and software are more tightly integrated than the PC. Because the Mac OS is graphical from the ground up. And because, from the very beginning, Apple has focused on the needs of the user to help make you more productive more quickly.
The Power Macintosh 9500 120 MHz beta unit we tested was so speedy we were forced to revamp our suite of benchmarks to accommodate it.
With technology changing so rapidly, people want to buy a computer with the power to take them into the future. And with Macintosh, you'll find the future is already built in, because Power Macintosh computers are based on a technology called RISC. This is the technology used in today's high-performance workstations, and it has been brought to mainstream desktop computers for the first time by the PowerPC chip, a family of RISC processors that was created by Apple, Motorola, and IBM. Today's Pentium computers, by contrast, are still based on a technology called CISC, a processor architecture which is now about 20 years old. And what does the difference between RISC and CISC mean for the average user? It means that a Power Macintosh can run many of the most demanding applications more quickly than a Pentium-based PC running at the same clock speed. For instance, here's a Power Macintosh and a Pentium PC running the same business charting application. The Power Macintosh builds a complex graph about twice as fast as the PC. That was a comparison of 32-bit applications. But the fact is, while there are thousands of 32-bit applications available for Macintosh, the vast majority of applications in the PC world are still 16-bit. And when you take that into account, the Macintosh performance advantage can become even greater. Here's a Power Macintosh running a 32-bit version of the popular home application Print Shop, and a Pentium PC running the 16-bit PC version of the same application. Here, the Macintosh outperforms the PC by an even greater margin. And if you're interested in finding a computer that will last into the future, consider this fact. Byte magazine tests recently showed that a PowerPC running at 132 MHz is actually faster than a 150 MHz Pentium Pro, Intel's next generation processor. To help close the performance gap, you could replace Windows 95 with the 32-bit Windows NT operating system on your PC. But to do that, you would have to buy a high-end system with a minimum of 12 to 20 megabytes of RAM. Get Windows NT-compatible applications and live with all the differences between Windows 95 and Windows NT, including different interfaces and different plug-and-play standards. We've seen that Macintosh computers offer high performance. They also come loaded with more standard equipment. For example, this Power Macintosh comes with Ethernet networking built in, so you can connect it to a network quickly and easily. It has a SCSI connector built in, so you can add new components like hard drives and faster CD-ROM drives quickly and easily. It comes with speech recognition and text-to-speech capabilities.
Macintosh 70 point.
It has built-in video capabilities, so to import video, all we have to do is plug in a camcorder or VCR and hit play. And we can incorporate video clips into any program that supports QuickTime Video. And this Power Macintosh also comes with easy-to-use video conferencing technology. So for the cost of a video camera, we can see, hear, and work with someone in a remote location.
Mia, we've been working out the last details of the new design. I'm sending it to you now.
I love the new collar design. It looks great.
Now, let's look at what it costs to add the same features to a compact Presario 7180. First, we'll need an Ethernet adapter card, a SCSI adapter. For speech recognition and text-to-speech, we'll have to buy and install some additional software. This package is only available if you also buy a sound card. For video input, we'll need a card like this. And if we want to add video conferencing features, we'll need to buy a package like this. All in all, we'll have to spend more than $1,800 to add the same features to a Windows 95 PC that are already built in on this Macintosh. And that doesn't include all the time we'll invest trying to make all of these different components work together as a single integrated machine, or the additional money we might spend to have a PC expert do it for us. So, if you're looking for a powerful computer, take a moment to compare. You'll find that Macintosh gives you high performance along with extra features that don't come with Windows 95 PCs.
If you're shopping for a home computer because you want to join the multimedia revolution, there's only one sensible choice. Get a Mac.
Many experts say multimedia is the real future of computing, as CD-ROM, video, television, and animation all come together on your desktop computer. And according to a leading market research firm, 72% of multimedia developers use the Macintosh to develop their titles. Why do these professionals choose Macintosh? Because Macintosh makes advanced multimedia capabilities easier to use, and because Macintosh incorporates new capabilities sooner than Windows-based PCs. Let's look at a few examples, starting with CD-ROMs. Macintosh computers have a single built-in standard for sound and graphics, so you can play most CD-ROM titles without reconfiguring your Macintosh at all. And if you want to play a CD-ROM game with a friend, the built-in networking on the Macintosh makes it easy. In the PC world, using CD-ROM titles is more complicated. Many of the most popular CD-ROM titles aren't written for Windows 95. Some of these have minor errors, and many others have to be run in a special DOS mode. That means you'll have to quit the Windows applications you're running, then restart. Next, let's look at speech recognition. Many PC makers say that someday you'll be able to tell your computer what to do and it will obey. That concept is a reality on the Macintosh today because the Mac OS comes with built-in speech recognition and a built-in scripting language called AppleScript. Using these tools, you can create a voice-driven command that will automatically bring up your personal workspace on your Macintosh.
Macintosh, this is Mike.
Hello, Mike. Let me set up your workspace for you. There you go, Mike.
Most PCs, by contrast, have no built-in speech recognition, so we'd have to purchase and install the necessary hardware and software ourselves. And even then, there is no scripting function in Windows 95, so we still can't create a script to change the user interface as we did on the Macintosh. Another technology that is becoming a big part of today's complex multimedia documents is 3D. It used to be that 3D graphics could only be created on expensive, high-powered workstations specifically designed for the task. But now, Apple has built these capabilities into the Mac OS with QuickDraw 3D. QuickDraw 3D runs on any Power Macintosh and allows you to create and edit sophisticated 3D graphics at surprising speeds. And because QuickDraw 3D is an integral part of the operating system, you can even work with 3D objects using Simple Text, the editor that comes bundled with every Macintosh. And of course, you can store 3D objects in the scrapbook just as easily as text, graphics, sound, and video. With Windows 95, 3D is not part of the operating system, which makes it hard to share 3D objects between programs. So, for example, if you drag a 3D object into the editor bundled with Windows 95, you might be surprised with the results. If you're interested in combining the power of your computer with your video camera and VCR, you'll find that the Macintosh offers easier solutions than Windows 95 machines. For instance, this Power Macintosh comes with the video input and video output capabilities built in. So if you want to create video to share with others, you can simply assemble your movie segments, preview your work on the Macintosh, and then output the movie to a videotape in your VCR. And what does it take to get this same capability on a Windows 95 PC? The same old thing. Another multimedia capability that's raising a lot of interest these days is virtual reality, and Apple is leading the way with QuickTime VR. This technology allows you to create rich, three-dimensional environments and to view them in full 360 degrees. Here's a QuickTime VR movie that BMW posted on the World Wide Web. It's a movie of the new BMW Z3 Roadster that's featured in the latest James Bond adventure. As you can see, Apple makes multimedia easier to use than a PC running Windows 95. And it gives you access to advanced capabilities sooner than Windows 95, which is why the Macintosh is the most popular computer for multimedia in the world.
Apple has once again pushed closer to the holy grail of computing, a single machine that can operate DOS, Windows, and Macintosh programs.
You might say, okay, Macintosh is still much easier to use than a PC running Windows 95, and it offers advanced multimedia that I can't get with Windows 95. But there are a lot of PCs out there in the world, and I need a computer that's compatible with them all. The good news is, with a Macintosh, that's precisely what you have. Because every Power Macintosh sold today comes with the ability to read from and write to PC disks. So we can take a document created in Microsoft Word on a Windows 95 PC and open it on our Macintosh. Another big argument for Windows is that there are Windows applications that aren't available in a Macintosh version. But the fact is, you can run just about any Windows application on your Macintosh as well. You can use an emulator program like Soft Windows, or for better performance, you can install a PC compatibility card. This solution adds a Pentium processor to your Macintosh, so you can toggle between Windows and Macintosh programs without restarting your computer. So, for example, on this one Macintosh, we could copy an image from Microsoft Paint for Windows 95. Then paste that image into a Microsoft Word for Macintosh document running under the Macintosh operating system. And because we have both a PowerPC processor and a Pentium processor in this Macintosh, we can do two things at the same time. For instance, I can download a file from the World Wide Web with my Macintosh and switch over to my Windows word processor and continue working. We've just seen that Macintosh computers offer more ease of use, more power, more advanced multimedia, and more compatibility options. And what do these advantages add up to? More satisfied customers. In survey after survey, Macintosh customers have indicated that they are more satisfied with their computers than users of PCs. In a recent survey of 50,000 computer users conducted by Computer Intelligence Infocorp, Macintosh won the highest ratings from business, home, and education users alike. Other studies have shown that Macintosh is the most reliable PC, that Macintosh requires the least technical support of any PC. Apple also won top honors in the J.D. Power's 1995 End User Satisfaction Survey. Ratings like these are some of the reasons customers have purchased more than 23 million Macintosh computers. And those tens of millions of satisfied customers are the most important proof of the advantages of Macintosh.